YouTube has a brand new music licensing section of the platform that now allows you to license music directly inside of YouTube and either pay an upfront fee or not pay a fee at all and do a royalty share. Let's talk to everybody's favorite entertainment and IP lawyer, Tony, all about what this looks like on the legal side and what could potentially work best for your business as you're continuing to create content on YouTube.
My name is Tony Oyakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube account called the IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
And today we're going to be talking all about YouTube's brand new music library that is actually going to allow creators to license music directly through YouTube in one of two ways that could actually be more beneficial both to the creator and to the music creator. So, Tony, tell us a little bit about this new program.
So this is, I think, a really unique licensing opportunity for creators, but especially for artists who are trying to get their start of fame and kind of make a name for themselves in the industry, especially because the music industry itself could be a very dog-eat-dog type of space. But YouTube Creator Music is this new beta program that's going to be launching. Not sure entirely when it's going to roll out to everybody, but the premise of the program is that creators like you or me can go onto YouTube and basically shop for music that we want to use in our videos. The point of it is that, you kind of, yes, when you're on YouTube Shorts or whenever you're creating short form video on YouTube, you have a specific library of music that's available. This kind of creates a secondary marketplace for you to have extras, other options to consider as you're shopping for music for your videos. So the way it would work is you could either buy upfront access to the song, which will lay out a term. So it's essentially, it's almost like it's a built-in synchronization and master use license agreement, which is commonplace in the music licensing space. So you're paying that upfront in that capacity. Or the other model with YouTube Creator Music is you could actually have access to the music, but any revenue that is made from your video that features that artist's music will be split between yourself and that creator, the musician behind that work. Now, of course, we don't have specifics on the revenue split. I did some research and I wasn't able to come up with the specifics. But for argument's sake, let's infer that it's a 50-50 split. 50% will go to the creator, 50% will go to the musician. I think it's important to note that for music, there are two copyright ownership interests. There's the underlying musical composition, like the lyrics, the sheet music. It's the two-dimensional version of the song, as I often teach my students. But then you also have the master, the master recording, the actual sound recording, which is the underlying musical composition brought to life. In both of those copyright ownership interests, it's not going to be as easy as one artist singing the song and one artist writing the song. There could be multiple songwriters. There could be multiple musicians at play. So going back to that 50-50 revenue split that I was talking about, 50% goes to the creator. That 50% pot that goes to the musician, that itself could be divested in different proportions to each of those people that contributed to it. So let's assume that there were 3 songwriters on a song that was purchased on YouTube Creator Music. For all intents and purposes, let's say that there was one songwriter that more prominently contributed to that piece of the pot, that song, and they have 50% piece of the pie there, and the other 2 songwriters have a 25% piece of the pie there, that they're going to get their allotted portion based on that 50% that's going to the musician. And then, of course, whatever the artist would get, the artist would get. So all in all, I think this is a really awesome model that's happening. I'll be honest with you, I would be shocked if Instagram and TikTok do not like stand back and don't do anything, because I could see them entirely following YouTube's footsteps in this front. It's a practical model. You cut out the middleman. You're not dealing with complications like record labels and interferences with, geographic limitations and this and that. The artist would, in every sense of the word, get their full pot of money. They would get their due, and they don't have to worry about any sort of, gimmicks or secretive clauses that are often commonplace when an artist signs on with a music publisher and a label. And as you can see, just from this abbreviated portion of this discussion, there's so much at play from a legal point of view with music and copyright ownership rights. So obviously, we could have a whole discussion about it, but just from a bird's eye point of view, this is a really great model that YouTube is implementing, and I really can't wait to see what's to come in the future.
And I think it's so fascinating because they have two different sections within this new library. You have the ability to outright license the song to use one time inside of that video. So you can pay an upfront fee and have access to that song for that video that you've created. And from there, the artist is then paid from that outright license. Or you have a secondary option of doing a revenue share. So that means you do not pay anything up front. You have to pay $0 for this, and you get to use that music inside of your video. Then moving forward, for every view you are getting on that video, the ads revenue that you're getting gets split between you and the artist who has created that song. So depending on how big you are or how popular you are or how much money you want to spend or effectively lose to this ads revenue share, you have the ability to choose which route you want to take. So let's kind of break these down a little bit. If you license it outright, you have the ability to pay that upfront fee one time. What are the benefits to this, Tony?
So the benefit is you pay it up front. Let's say that you have, let's say, a YouTube following of 250,000 followers on your YouTube account. Let's say that you pay, let's say for argument's sake, we don't know the model, but let's say for argument's sake, you pay $50 for access to a song to use in a YouTube short video. That's it. That's all you're paying. Imagine if there was a rev share split and you have 250,000 followers and your video happens to go viral. And let's say that video generates, for argument's sake, $1,000 worth of revenue. Now you're getting $500 for yourself that you pocket in your back pocket as a creator, but then the musician gets $500 that they then share with the songwriters and whoever else contributed to that work of authorship. So for a creator, maybe paying that lower cost up front, is a great, easy way to not have to worry about sharing any revenue from any additional revenue that you generate from views of your video. I also think another reason why the upfront cost working model really would work as well is you have all your terms kind of laid out in a fairly simplified license agreement format. Again, you're not working with a music publisher or a record label who are very, very stringent on these terms. You're working with YouTube. You're basically working with them through this marketplace. I would assume you're pressing OK and you're consenting to terms and conditions. That is the license agreement. That is what is giving you the permission to use that creator's music on your actual video. So you're not having to worry about an approval process, which could take weeks, not even days, weeks. It could take, it's an arduous process dealing with record labels, especially if you're dealing with multiple record labels, more so in the music publisher space. You would be shocked that there could be a song that has 4 songwriters, and each of those songwriters are signed on with an individual music publisher, with a COBOL, Sony Music Publishing Group, Universal Music Publishing Group. Imagine having to deal with all of that hassle. It's a painstaking process. You don't have to worry about that with that upfront cost that you're dealing with YouTube. So it's a really, really solid model that I think, if you have the capacity to pay that money upfront, why not? Just cough up the money. You'll probably recoup the cost in some way. I would say if you're on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of not having that many followers or not being able to generate an insane number of views, maybe you don't want to go down that upfront cost route, especially if you don't have the money at the moment to be able to cough it up. You might feel more comfortable doing the rev share model. And even then, that's a really great working model, especially if your video goes viral. You then pocket that money and then you can move on and try, you can rinse and repeat that process over and over.
And I really like that you pointed out that the contract for this is housed within YouTube. It's not like you're trying to figure out the terms and conditions for every single song. It is what it is inside of YouTube. And once you understand that, it applies to all of the music you can potentially license on this platform. That saves you a lot of time and effort and gives you that added security. Now, if you do not have access to the beta of the YouTube music library, we do have other subscription-based models that we highly recommend. We love Epidemic Sound here. We're going to link them down below so that you can get this. Or if you don't like the music on YouTube, you can check them out as well if you want to go with the one-time licensing fee without the ad revenue share. Now, Tony, if we are talking about splitting those royalties, you mentioned a little bit that this is kind of nicer for maybe smaller creators who don't want to pay that upfront fee and may opt instead to revenue split with the creator. This is going to be really good for those smaller content creators. And as we grow larger, maybe not so much if we're getting more views. But talk to me a little bit more about the benefits of potentially doing that rev share and that split with the commissions that you're making on your ads revenue, and how this actually really benefits the artists.
Yeah, so I think there's a pro and con for both sides of the party here, actually. So the pro is if you're a smaller creator, let's assume you have 500 followers, and you know your videos historically don't generate that much views. Is it worth your while paying that upfront cost, $50 for that song? Or do you think that the rev share model, where let's say you generate 500 views and that equals, let's say, $5 in revenue, that's split between you and the creator, you've essentially saved, in based on, if I'm doing rough math, you're saving $45 right there. You don't have to worry about having paid that extra money. So if you're a smaller creator, that might be a more cost effective measure for you. You use that model, you build up a following, you build up credibility, and then maybe you could phase over into the upfront cost model that was mentioned earlier. However, if you're a musician, you're kind of devoid of that little extra funding that would have come from the upfront cost model. But there's always a chance, and everybody says, "Oh, I cracked the code on the algorithm with YouTube and TikTok." No, no, no. You know, I think it works. I think if not to diffuse that model, if anybody has figured it out, wonderful. But at the end of the day, virality is it's so spontaneous. And I think that if a video is just so good because people are drawn to it, because of the material within it, because of the quality of it, because of the learning experience or the value that comes from that video, it's gonna drive up views. So if it drives up views, that's going to drive up revenue. And then that means if the rev share model was used in that context, let's say that 500 views turns into 1,000 views, that turns into 100,000 views, and that video generates $10,000. Wow, the creator gets $5,000, but the musician now gets $5,000. And again, we're only assuming that this rev share model is a 50-50 split between the creator and the musician. This could be subject to change. We're not really sure on the particulars of that. At least based on my research, I wasn't able to find any more specific information beyond that. But if we are going off a 50-50 model here, I mean, this is a win for the musician as well, especially if those videos do incredibly well. So definitely another great option for creators to have in their back pocket, this rev share model. Like I said, there are cons to it for the musician, but I think all in all, I think the pros outweigh the cons in that fact pattern.
So we have a lot of things to consider as you're deciding to jump into using music on YouTube, if you want to source it elsewhere, or if you want to skip it entirely. And we will be continuing to update you as new information rolls out about this new music program here on YouTube. If you have access to the beta program, let us know down below and let us know if it's a good fit for you, if you're liking it, and what you would like to see them improve on it. And if you don't have it yet, do not panic. It's coming. It's slowly rolling out to everybody. So you will get it when you are qualified to get it and be able to use that with that ad share revenue once you have met the standards of YouTube for doing that ad share revenue. Tony, for people who have questions, we will be answering them down in the comments, but where can everybody reach out to you online?
You can reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the IP Professor, and I drop content all the time related to IP. I'm sure that as we get more news about this YouTube creator music platform, I'll be covering that on my account. So definitely stay tuned for that. But of course, I have other videos on IP. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the DMs.
This program is still currently in beta, which means if you don't have access to it yet, you may need to wait a little bit longer as they're slowly testing things and rolling them out to new people. And as we get breaking news on what's going on inside of this program, we will be bringing it to you first and foremost here on the platform. So hit that subscribe and notification bell. And we're dropping daily videos to help you level up on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the other social platforms to allow you to make more money online but spend less time doing it. So we'll see you in the next episode.